right, you see it over my shoulder here, Boy Green. It's an homage today on a Monday morning live show, Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Welcome aboard, all of you trickling into our little room, our little studios here, as we talk NFL, the weekend that was, week 2, a much more exciting, action-packed weekend for sure in terms of scoring and touchdowns and fantasy points. My gosh, they were rolling off the board. I mean, I'm in a 160-something battle in our Triple C League, Boy Green, with one of our former sponsors, Joey from Home Team Pub. I got to take him down, baby. I'll drive him right back into sponsorship, bring him right back into our show. So Monday Night Football, a doubleheader tonight. But the big news of the morning is the jersey that you see right there next to my face, and that is Joe Burrow. A little homage to him today because he is going to get the surgery on what is being labeled turf toe, which we've heard about. That has existed in the NFL for quite a while. It sounds like a pretty bad version of it. And so minimum of 3 months. We might not see him till close to Christmas time, if at all, this season. So a massive, massive blow to the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll get to the New York teams, but let's start with that. Boy Green, good morning. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, Lerch, as good as someone who just got blown out by the Buffalo Bills can possibly do. But again, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later, certainly on the show. But I mean, devastating news for Cincinnati Bengals fans, for fantasy owners and everything else. I mean, it's just devastating news to hear that Joe Burrow, the prince that was promised, the guy that was excellent last season, all of a sudden you go into this year and you said, we're going to have the defense better. We brought everyone back. They brought back T. Higgins. They brought back Trey Hendrickson, that they bring all these pieces back together. And this is finally going to be the year of the Bengal and get them back to the Super Bowl. And instead, not the case whatsoever here. Now he's out. You have Jake Browning, who is a young player they feel pretty good about. He showed some chutzpah a couple of years ago. But let's be obvious here. Despite the initials being the same, Lerch, of, Jake Browning to Joe Burrow, this JB ain't the same JB. And the Bengals are going to have to overcome a lot of demons here.
Yeah, and Jamie jumping right in, the FedEx guy jumping right into the comments. I'll throw that up here real quick. But Jamie basically saying, Joe Burrow, is he the next Andrew Luck? I mean, we saw that. The guy comes in, he's highly regarded, successful right away. Everybody likes him. And then injuries just start mounting and mounting and mounting. And then, ba-boom, now you got a player. And we all have to remember, I mean, many of you will remember, Joe Burrow came in as a mature adult. So many of these guys are coming in at 20, 19. This guy was mid-20s when he came. He had the interesting kind of college career and then found his way to LSU and then won that national championship. And he was the head of that snake. And so he's not a young guy by young guy standards. He's still young in football years. He's still got plenty in the tank. Theoretically, he comes back from this.
He's 28.
But it's piling up. See, look at that. All right. Yeah. He's already 28 years old. I mean, that's a statement, that he's already 28. So, the years are ticking by very quickly. And we saw what happened to Andrew Luck. I mean, there's too many injuries.
Well, Lerch, there is something to what Jamie the FedEx guy said. Let's throw this up from ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter. Here is Bengals pass protection ranking since Joe Burrow was drafted. This is pass block win rate in ESPN stat from 2020 when he entered the league to now. 29th, 30th, 27th, 32nd. That's last in the NFL. For those who don't know, 32 teams in the league, and 28th. As Adam Schefter says here, Burrow has not played behind an offensive line that didn't rank in the bottom quartile in terms of pass protection. That's exactly what happened in Indianapolis. They found the quarterback. Andrew Luck is really good, but they never got to protect him. And as a matter of fact, by the time he left, they finally had a great offensive line as soon as he left, which sort of ruined the whole purpose of everything. So it's one of the great disservices in football that the Bengals have not been able to invest the proper resources or do what is necessary to put an offensive line around Joe Burrow. There's all these jokes that he can't stay healthy. Well, look at the jokes that are the offensive line that the Bengals have been, quote unquote, putting out in front of him. It's been pretty brutal.
Which is precisely, and we've talked about this, and I'll continue to talk about it. I will continue to stand on my soapbox as long as you folks, not as long as I can, okay? You folks aren't stopping me. You aren't stopping me, all right? But the fact of the matter is, I'm going to say the same thing about Jackson Dart. our offensive line in New York stinks. I don't want that guy going out and taking hits. I'm sorry. I know I'm offering, Russell Wilson up here as some kind of sacrificial lamb, but who cares? I don't care. Let him be the sacrificial lamb. I don't want my young quarterback damaged before it's time to put him in harm's way. So I know there's this anxiousness about Giants fan. We're 0-2 now. We'll talk all about this game, but the fact of the matter is, cool your jets. Okay. There's no reason to put this guy out there. Did you see Russell Wilson's play yesterday? Was there anything wrong with that quarterback play? No. I'm going to ask a trivia question right now, Boy Green.
Okay. All right. I love trivia.
You're prepared because you and I talked about this off air. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask of anybody that's here in the live stream right now on any of our portals here. Okay. Just answer the comments if you can. Just type it in real quick. Pull over
but don't look it up. Don't look it up, though.
Don't look it up. I'm just asking you a simple question. I just want you to just take a guess. Okay. Just take a guess. We've looked it up. We know. All right.
Yeah.
And if you've heard it, all right, don't put it down. Like, just if you don't know, take a guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's the question. The question is, who are the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL right now in total yards passing?
Passing yards.
Passing yards. Okay.
Yeah.
So who are the 2 quarterbacks at the top of the list of all the teams, of all the quarterbacks?
After 2 weeks.
Who are the 2 guys after 2 weeks of this year's NFL season? Who are number 1 and number 2 in total passing yards? Simple question. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Type it in the comments if you're willing to do that. If you're not, we're just going to answer the question and we'll move on. All right. But who are the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL, total passing yards through 2 weeks so far? All right. Who are they? Okay.
Who could it be?
You're going to be shocked. I think you're going to fall off your chair when you find out who the top 2 guys are in the NFL after 2 weeks. All right. So don't put your quarterbacks in harm's way. Just don't do it. Okay, it's not worth it. I want Jackson Dart in there. You think I don't want to win games? You think I want to sit through that nonsense like I sat through yesterday? I mean, it was a heck of a game watching those 2 teams go at it, but I want to win that thing. All right, I want to win that game. We had a chance to win in Dallas. We should have won in Dallas. That defense wasn't a sieve yesterday. Good grief, Giants. I thought our problems in the offensive line. I thought our problems at quarterback. I thought our problems in the backfield. Apparently, we got a bigger problem. Our defense can't stop anybody.
All right, we got some guesses here, Lerch, in our trivia. Phil says Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
Good guess.
Okay. We have
Joe Burrow. Good guess there.
Michael Palermo is another option. And let's get to it, Lerch. Let's reveal it. Here it is on the show.
It's these 2 guys, Russell Wilson and Daniel Jones, the current Giant signal caller and the former Giants signal caller. Riddle me that. You tell me there isn't a person in our audience, not a person in our audience, anybody that's going to watch this video, anybody that's ever watched our channel that would have guessed that after 2 weeks with no stats on the table, that the top 2 passers yards-wise in the NFL would be these 2 guys after 2 weeks. I know it's only 2 weeks. It's probably not going to last the season, but come on. Mind-boggling.
Yeah, here are the numbers, by the way. Russell Wilson is number 1 with 618 passing yards, and number 2 is Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones with 588. Those are the top 2 leaders in passing yards after the first 2 weeks. Obviously, there's still more 2 weeks to play because, of course, we've got a doubleheader on Monday Night Football tonight, so someone could enter that octagon. But as of right now, this stat is absolutely true, and who would have put that on their bingo card? Unbelievable.
Jamie says he nailed. You believe him? You believe he didn't look it up?
I absolutely do not. He definitely looked it up. We asked the question.
I agree.
Minutes went by, and he'll say,
I agree.
It's working.
I agree, Jamie. I think
totally
you looked it up.
You're
not getting credit. He's I nailed it, and you didn't, and they didn't hear it anywhere. You believe him? I don't believe him.
No, I know. Not even close. Absolutely not.
Amazing stat. That's an amazing stat. So, yeah, boy. So let's get to the New York teams. That's why we always butter our bread. So let's kick it off with the New York teams here on a Monday. All right, Boy Green, we'll start with the lows and we'll build to the highs. I mean, we got the 2 of the 3 New York teams facing off. The Bills did take on the Jets. You talk about the tale of 2 guys. And this has been the issue with Justin Fields in the past, and you just hope that it doesn't become the norm, the reality for the New York Football Jets. It's the level of inconsistency. We saw the good version of Justin Fields last week, despite a loss to the Steelers. I mean, that was efficient. His feet were getting him extra time. He didn't even have to run all that much to create stuff. Eyes looking down the field, passing accuracy right on point, yada, yada, yada. Not enough accolades, not enough rose petals to throw at the feet of Justin Fields, even after that loss last week against the Steelers. This week, I mean, yikes! The guy couldn't get out of his own way. The vector was off. The whole thing was just an erratic, weird looking thing. And then he gets concussed and then leaves. He got concussed, right?
That's correct. He's in the
saw the
concussion
head. It
protocol.
looked like he banged his head on the helmet on the turf. I was like, that looks like a concussion. He's probably out the rest of the game and again killed anyway. Did he come back in the game? I didn't go back to the game. I mean, there was no reason to go back. I was watching Red Zone, and of course, I was very much ensconced in the Giants game because that game was just back and forth and very, very riveting, much like the Jets game was in Week 1. So what do you make of it? I mean, how down in the mouth are you about it? Are you concerned? Is your level of concern, red zone yet? How you feeling?
A lot of great questions. So that's why when we got the Phil guess of, are the two leaders in passing yards after the first 2 weeks, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields? Well, Justin Fields had 27 yards passing against the Buffalo Bills. So that eliminated him from any part of that conversation, unfortunately. I mean, let's just put it simply. For the nerds in the back of the room on EPA, that's a deeper level analytic, Justin Fields had the best game of his career last week, according to those analytics.
Okay. Which is a great way to start with your new team, new offense, new coach, new team. And you come out there and give your best performance as a pro.
Yeah.
Okay. In Week 1. I mean, that's a lot to be excited about if you're a Jets fan.
Yesterday was the worst game of his career by EPA. So, I mean, the roller coaster was as violent as it possibly could have been of showing the possible highs of a running quarterback who is efficient and getting the ball out of his hands versus the other side of the coin. So it was incredibly disappointing. The fact that the Jets lost to the Bills is not surprising. The Jets were a massive underdog to the Buffalo Bills at home. Them losing is not surprising. How they lost is surprising. A lot of people predicted a close Jets-Bills game. Ooh, maybe the Jets are going to lose, but they're going to give the Bills a fight, and they absolutely did not give them a fight. So, it was discouraging. I mean, Aaron Glenn, some of the questions we had off of that Jets-Bills game was effort. And there's a few people that in run defense looked like they were lollygagging on instant replays, and that's terrible things to see for a brand new coaching staff. Now, Aaron Glenn, to his credit, again, I don't pretend to be a tape watcher. I don't watch all 22. I don't pretend to. Aaron Glenn says he watched the tape, and he didn't see any lack of effort in these games based on his observations. So, hey, he's the head coach, and I'm just some random guy that does this on the internet. But there seemed to be a lot of those kind of troubling signs from that perspective that put the Jets here in a really rough spot. So, it was disappointing. It was discouraging. And it doesn't get any easier. The Jets had those first 2 games, as you noted, Lerch, at home. Now they take to the road for back-to-back weeks, both in the state of Florida. We'll see if the Jets travel back and forth, or because both games are in Florida, do they stay in Florida for the full week, or next 2 weeks rather? We'll see. They play Tampa Bay this week, and Tampa Bay plays tonight, so we'll get a scouting look at Tampa Bay. And then they're at Miami, who looks like a disaster, but still, it doesn't matter. The Jets look like a disaster over the weekend. So, I mean, it was embarrassing, Lerch. There's just no other way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, to flip this, the Jets got to get 2. And that's not easy to do on the road. And one of those teams is obviously very competent. The other one, you could probably get it. But you got to get 2 because you really kind of had the Steelers and you didn't get it. This is an expected loss against the Bills. They're one of the best teams in football. I kind of get it. Hey, she's back there. But they got to get a couple here. I mean, otherwise you kind of get in this morass here of, here we are. We're the Jets again. It's the same old. You just don't want that. And I know a lot of Giant fans are feeling the same way too. I mean, that was I told you, we talked about it. That wasn't just Lerch.
Hey, Lerch, I just have to tell you.
Like we could go in there and beat this team. This Cowboys team is not that formidable. They're not.
I was surprised.
Current state, they're not.
You deserve a lot of credit, Lerch, because I will tell you, the Cowboys, again, we're talking about moral cookies, right? The Jets, they were so close against the Steelers. The Cowboys looked awesome against the Eagles in Week 1. We're like, whoa, they looked awesome. They didn't win, but they looked great. And people were like, oh, boy. Like the take I heard from a lot of shows are the Cowboys are way better than we thought they were. So heading into this home game against the Giants, where in theory you get this chopped liver opponent that got smacked around by Washington, like, oh, my God, the Cowboys are going to tear apart the Giants. That's what the recent history has said. That's what the recent eyes had said in terms of the season. And it was the opposite. So your Giants deserve a lot of credit for showing up. Now, again, we're talking moral cookies because they end up not being able to pull out the win and win the game in Dallas, which I'm sure would have been huge for the Giants. But you deserve a lot of props, Lerch. I didn't see that coming at all. That's, your Giants at least covered the spread, so you get that notch on our standings, which we'll do later this week an update on. That was impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, it was a good effort. I mean, let me jump over to a couple of comments here that we're getting into some of this stuff, so might as well throw up some of these comments. Phil jumped in and said, I'm not mad the Giants lost. Take away all the penalties and the Giants look competent. Phil, can I just respond to that? Okay. Take away all the penalties. Phil, I mean, this is where Brian Dable's getting in some real hot water here. Because if this team lacks discipline, I mean, that string in a row of penalties where the left tackle, I'm forgetting his name right now. He's jumped in.
Oh, yeah. I had an alert because of how many penalties
right
he has. I'll get that in a second.
Right,
One second.
I'm sorry. I should know the Giants upside down, backwards, and forwards, but he's a fairly new player to the Giants, and he's their left tackle right now. But, I mean, he was just twitching. The guy's just jumping all over the place.
James Hudson the third.
Hudson. I was going to say Hunter. Yeah. James Hudson. Hudson was just a mess, and Dable's on the sideline. What are we doing out there? And you just got the disconnect here, and you're like, dude, this is what's taught on the practice field. This is, I understand a guy can go out there and gag, but I mean, you got to teach him not to. I mean, this guy's the starting left tackle. I mean, until Andrew Thomas is back, this guy is one of the most important people on the offense. I mean, you can't have that guy just going out there and choking. And that was really ugly. And he was lost. It was the one on the snap count. He was like 3 yards down the field. The rest of the line just looked over at him like, dude, but it was on 3. What are you doing? You jumped on 0. I mean, like, what's happening? You didn't even say hut yet. You're already running down the field. I mean, what are you doing? You're an offensive lineman. Don't you notice nobody else is moving? It was just weird. I agree with your sentiment, Phil, that like when you see the Giants put out that kind of effort, when you see Wilson play that well, you say, hey, okay, it's not that bad. But you got to win that game and, take away the penalties. Yeah, well, that's what good teams do. They don't incur penalties. So take away the penalties, maybe they do win the game. But to me, this one's on the defense. It's on two things. It's on the penalties, which is lack of discipline, and it's on the defense that couldn't stop Dallas. I mean, come on now. Russell Wilson kept giving them clutch play after clutch play, including that one right, towards the end of regular. I mean, you got to stop him. You got to stop him. I know he kicked a 64-yarder. Aubrey's the best in the game. He's on all my fantasy teams. I love good kickers. He's the best in the game. But damn it, don't let him get into field goal range. You know what that guy's field goal range is. They were like playing this sag defense. I'm like, get up there. Play real defense. What are we scared of? For crying out loud, you're scared you're not going to lose the game, so you play not to lose, and then you lose. That's what you do. You play to win. You're on the road. You play to win. I'm sorry, Boy Green. I'm getting excited.
No, I was going to say, so I was paying attention to Jets Cowboys game as much as I could during Jets Bills and then catching up after the game. And I didn't know the number of penalties. So I just said, well, how many did the Giants have? And I just looked it up. Oh, my Lanta. The Giants had 14 penalties in this game for 160 yards. Brutal. Oh, my God. And they lost by 3 in overtime with no time remaining in overtime. That is unbelievable.
And several of them on third down plays. I don't know if they were any on fourth down plays, but where they had them, it's over. They had them on one. Dallas was like, second and a mile. And I actually thought it was a bad call, but you don't put yourself in the position for there to be a bad call. They got in close to Prescott. He just heaved it away, and then the lineman, took him down. And they called him for the landing on him, and then they showed the replay several times, right. And even the commentators were like, he landed on the side. He didn't. And you could tell he actually let up. He pulled his hand off him a little bit, but the officials saw it differently. But you just don't put yourself in that situation because now they're going to have third and a mile, and you're getting the ball back. And it was in the fourth quarter, too. It was at a critical moment in the game. So the stupidity of the penalties on top of it. And you wouldn't have seen it because I know you were doing your Jets in-game. But there was a Playboy Green where there were 4 penalties on the same play. Okay, you would love this. It was one of those. Did you see it because they were showing it? I'm sure they showed it on a lot of talk shows and stuff this morning. Remember how they had years ago the official that said, roughhousing them at the bottom of the pile, and
giving them the business. That was a Jets game.
Giving them the business game. But the official just went beyond the description, dare I say, and had everybody in the audience laughing because he was giving us so much detail. Well, this was the officials collecting all the penalties. There's flags all over the field. He comes back. He's like, all right, we've got holding on the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty, an automatic first down. Then we've got pass interference on the defense. And And then so 3 on the Giants, 1 on the Cowboys on the same play. Okay, on the same play. And it, of course, was all offsetting replay the down, which is the crazy part of it. But the Giants had 3 penalties. Could add those to the list. Okay. And 2 of the 3, I think, were 15-yarders. So the yardage would have even been higher. That was offsetting, so it didn't even count. I don't think they count that in the total. But 4 penalties on a single play. Plus these 2 teams, the whole game, there was like extracurriculars, like crazy, just guys hitting each other late, shoving and pushing. It was a very, very chippy game between these 2.
But, Lerch, this was even worse. I just found this from Jordan Renan of ESPN. The Giants were flagged 21 times in Sunday's loss. But, again,
there it is,
as some of the penalties weren't there, and you see it there on the 3 times on the
4
same
times
play.
on a drive.
Unprecedented.
On,
the 14 accepted, because, again, they were flagged 21 times, but they have to be accepted to count officially in the rule book, but you could still count them. The 14 accepted penalties for 160 yards was the most penalty yards in a game by the Giants this century. Oh, dear God.
Yeah, think about that. I mean, that's brutal. And see, stuff like this. And this is the wonder of the internet, right? So then these numbers get out there. If you're John Mara, if you're Steve Tisch, like this is getting to embarrassing levels. If this keeps up, Brian Dable's going to lose his job in weeks. Forget about it at the end of the year. He's going to lose his job soon. Like, they're just not going to put up with this. They're not going to allow nonsense like this to happen. They're a laughing stock. That graphic is a laughing stock. That is saying your team is a laughing stock. Last week, we were a laughing stock because we couldn't do anything offensively, okay, because our offensive line was completely inept. And then yesterday, the offense plays great, aside from the stupid penalties, all right? Russell Wilson looks like the old classic Russell Wilson. They make clutch play after clutch play, and they can't stop anything. They can't stop the Cowboys, who, by the way, weren't doing anything formidable. I got to give credit to the Cowboys. I wanted to talk about this morning, so I'm going to grab it before I forget it, all right?
Sure, yeah.
Give credit where credit is due for the Cowboys. Watching that game, and I was in a fantasy matchup with Joe Bartle, as you know, which is not officially over yet, but I'm looking pretty good. It looks like I've got Bartle. Okay, I've got him by, he's going to have 2 massive performances tonight. He's got 2 players tonight, so it's never over till it's over. But, but I'm in very, very good stead to win this matchup.
Sure.
But he has CD Lamb. And the Giants were shutting him down, man. They were just stopping. He had nothing. And he had like 3 points at halftime or something fantasy-wise. I'm like, yeah, take it out. He's number 1. This is fantastic, man. I was just loving it, salivating over it. Plus, it's my Giants.
Sure.
Second half, and particularly in the fourth quarter in the overtime, literally, Dak Prescott must have got together with CD Lamb and Huntley and just throw the ball at me. Okay, just forget about all these other guys and spreading it around. Stop doing what Sean Payton does. We can talk about that at some point in the show today, right? And sending it to 12 different guys, all right, instead of having a favorite. And just throw it to the guy that catches it the best. And it doesn't matter whether there's 2 or 3 guys on him. He still finds a way to catch it. And that's what Dak Prescott started to do. And guess what started to happen? The Dallas offense started to click. They started to move the ball down the field. And there was nothing my team could do to stop him, because that guy's that good, and we don't have a good enough corner to lock him down. And even when we send 2 guys or 3 guys at him, we can't stop him. He high points the ball. He gets above the other players. He doesn't fumble it. He's just a great player. He's a great player. So kudos to Dallas for going to their main man rather than settling for, we just got to go and give what the defense gives us. Sometimes you can't do that. That's where I side a little bit with Malik Neighbors. I didn't like his outburst last week, but what I do like is the guy saying, just give me the ball, man. Just give it to me. I'll catch it. Just put it up there and I'll go get it. Stop throwing to other guys and letting them drop it all over the place. Throw to me. I'll make a catch. And Malik Neighbors was obviously back in the game plan yesterday because he had a pretty good game, especially for people that had him in fantasy.
Yeah, CD Lamb, by the way, finished with 9 catches for 112 yards. The 9 catches were tied for a team high with Jake Ferguson, who had a really nice game at tight end, and 112 yards, which led the team. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And almost all of it was in the second half, and it wasn't even bombs. It was just all over the field, just getting him the ball, putting it in the right spot. Prescott made some outstanding throws. I mean, credit to the Cowboys, but as a Giants fan, I'm sick this morning because that was a winnable game. We could be 1-1. I don't know what that really means in the grand scheme of things. We're not going to the Super Bowl this year, but that would have been a nice win. And Russell Wilson deserved that win. He got crushed, and I mean crushed, by the New York media last week. I mean, he was topic A on every radio show, every web show, every darn piece of content on television that they put out in the New York market last week that had Giants content was about how bad Russell Wilson is, and how they have to get to Jackson Dart sooner or this team's going in the tank. Well, Wilson came out and showed them all. And he better get credit this week from the New York talking heads. I don't want to hear any crap about that stupid one interception that he threw at the end of the game, okay? It was a bad throw. Okay, plenty of guys make bad throws. That guy was great yesterday. He was the reason they could have and maybe should have won the game. So please don't point out the one error and say that's why they lost the game. That's ridiculous. That game was lost on penalties, lack of discipline, and a very porous defense. Period. End of story. Do not even attempt to blame Russell Wilson, New York media, or I'm coming at you, brother. I'll be talking about you all week if I catch you talking about it. My buddy Adam Shine, anybody. I catch you guys, I'm taking you down, all right? I'll be talking about you all week. And I don't like to do that. I don't like to call people out. I'm not saying Shine said anything. I'm just saying.
No. He's one of the guys that can often say something that could.
Adam loves those controversial takes. I don't know if he's the anti-Russell Wilson guy today. We'll find out. I'll check in on him later.
All right, make sure you guys do. And speaking of, make sure you guys like the video and hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. We're streaming live right now on the Manchild Show Boy Green Digital Facebook page, the Manchild Show Boy Green Digital YouTube page, and my YouTube page as well, at BoyGreen25. We're getting closer and closer to 300 subscribers. We're like 17 away. So think about that. We're 17 away. And if you're one of our first 300 subscribers, you have a chance to win an autographed David Tyree Super Bowl photo, baby. And guys, you're going to want to get in on that for that giveaway and many others. It's free to subscribe. No money has to be spent whatsoever. Just subscribe. That is youtube.com/@MCShowDigital. Again, @MCShowDigital. Make sure you guys do that right now. Let's see if we can get to 300 by the end of the week.
All right, here's some good comments coming in on this discipline. I've heard of it. Didn't they do that back in the golden days? Love that. Thank you, Sharon McClain. Very good there. Love that. Phil saying they're gonna bench. He thinks they're gonna bench Hudson.
And go to the next one in line.
They'll move Embo over. We'll talk to Ed Valentine this week. So certainly that will be in my conversation, Phil, with Ed Valentine this week. So if you're not already watching our Giants Insider stuff, which we put in our little playlist, as well as dropping it in our regular video drop every single week, I will definitely ask Ed about that. Ed and I had a very long discussion last week. If you didn't watch it, you'd still go back and watch it, because it's worth. Sometimes this stuff that we talk about week to week, kind of has a thread that travels through. But Ed and I probably spent the first. Paul wasn't in on it last week, but so it was just me and Ed. Ed and I talked probably for the first 10 minutes of our 25-ish minute session on the offensive line. I just wouldn't let it go, and we were going back and forth. And I was like, "Come on, how long can a team reconstruct an offensive line? We've been at this for 10 years. I mean, this is ineptness of an organization." Okay, that we can't figure this out. I mean, people could be walking on the moon by the time we figure out, walking on Mars or whatever.
Yeah,
already did that in 1969. But you
did allegedly. Right,
we could be doing things that are far more sophisticated to do than trying to find a competent offensive line in front of our quarterback and our running backs. Come on, man! Please let us do something that's it's the right thing. So yeah, James Hudson. Oh, James. Not a good week for you, pal. Not a good week for you. Now, Thomas might be back by next week, so problem might be solved. Ed said it. It's funny. We were getting some comments off of that Ed interview a few weeks ago before the season opener. The Giants already said they're going to play. They didn't say they were going to play him, and they didn't play him. And now he sat out 2 weeks. Ed said he thought 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll bring him into the mix. So you could see that Thomas is chomping at the bit. They've been showing him a lot on the sidelines during games in his civvies. And he's, he seems highly engaged. He seems like, I want to get back out there now. Is the foot ready? He had that crazy Lisfranc surgery, which is tricky for some guys.
You want to make sure he's right. You don't want to bring him back out there too early, and then he's troubled, and then you bring him back out. Yeah,
right. Like he has to be 100% before you roll him out there, because the Giants want him to last the rest of the season. So if that takes week 5 or week 6, you just do it. You just do it. You accept it and you move forward. And this is what the game is. It's next man up. People get hurt all the time, and you got to figure out, your puzzle. But if this does continue, you do wonder, will they toy around here with someone else playing left tackle coming off this James Hudson performance?
That could come. Hey, by the way, I see Phil says, Lerch, I watch everything you guys both do, even BG's Jet content, which for that, Phil, I'd like to apologize for yesterday that you had to watch any part of that 5 hours of live coverage of a 30-10 blowout by the Buffalo Bills, where only touchdown came in Garbaggio time. Here's a fun stat to make fun of my Jets, Lerch. I don't know if you knew this. So Justin Fields had 27 yards passing in the game yesterday. He played most of the game outside of like the last half quarter or something. Yeah, right. Okay. And he had 27 yards passing. That's really bad.
That's really bad.
Josh Allen in the middle of the game, I'm not sure if you saw this, he got punched in the face
Yes,
by
I
a
did.
Jets
Oh, yeah, I
defensive
saw it. Oh, he
lineman.
ran to the sideline, yeah.
And he ran to the
Well,
sideline.
initially he got poked in the eye. I think it was nose. I
Right,
think it was some bloody
right.
nose.
It was bloody nose.
Hit the thing up.
Yeah, but the way he did it, it reminded me because we had a Jets Giant preseason game a million years ago where Eli Manning got whacked on a preseason game where he was gushing blood and he had to run to the sideline. So the way Josh Allen ran, I thought it was a busted nose. Anywho, the reason why I bring that up is that when he ran to the sideline, it was the middle of a drive. When he ran out, he was running out as the play was turning to third down. So the Bills had to throw another quarterback out there, Lerch. It was Mitchell Trubisky. In Mitchell Trubisky's one completion of the game, he had 32 yards against Sauce Gardner. He found Josh Palmer. So think about this. Mitchell Trubisky in one play had more passing yards than Justin Fields had the entire game.
Ooh, that hurts.
Oh,
That's painful.
So again, I apologize, Phil, for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there feeling it. Badshaw feeling it. This is that Jet game was sickening. I don't get to see much in terms of Jets games living out in Arkansas because I know he's from down there. That performance is what I got. Come on, man, give me a break. So obviously it must have been on TV down there, so you got to see that. Sorry, Badshaw.
Until they turned it away, unfortunately, as he was talking about. Yeah, right. Hopefully it's better for us when we're all together for Jets Cowboys here in a couple of weeks. So hopefully it's much better. Yeah.
One can only hope, right? Today's broadcast is brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. Bayberry, these are the automotive, mechanic shop that preaches integrity and everything. And I can tell you that they do indeed live to that creed. Let's just take 30 seconds, learn a little bit more about our friends from Bayberry.
Integrity is a word that some people just throw around in life. But at Bayberry Automotive, integrity is everything. Integrity of their mechanics, who are all experienced and certified. Integrity in the work they perform, with nothing but 5-star reviews from satisfied customers on Google. Integrity that goes along with family, a family-run business that treats you like one of their own. Integrity in everything. Bayberry Automotive. BayberryAutomotive.com.
Located on Route 57 across from Bayberry Plaza, the premier choice for auto repair in Liverpool.
All right, we're back. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. This is our live Monday show where we get to Monday morning quarterback all of the NFL games. Very competitive game, as we've been discussing, between the Giants and the Cowboys, albeit in a terrible loss. I am reaffirmed that the Cowboys do have the best kicker in football in Brandon Aubrey, who knocked through a 64-yarder to send it to overtime. What did Dallas have? 27 seconds, I think, or was it 21 seconds? I know it was in the 20s.
Yeah, let me double check.
After Russell Wilson threw that beautiful bomb to Neighbors,
right? Neighbors. Yeah.
So the Giants I'm like, oh, you should have seen me in the living room. I was jumping up and down. My wife was like, what is going on? She was like a couple of rooms away. She's like, what's happening? Like, oh my God, yes. Because I thought we were done for because we only got the ball back with like under a minute or around a minute left. I was like, oh my God, has Russell Wilson got another drive left in him in this game? Not only did he have another drive, he did it like 3 plays, throws that bomb. Yeah. And as soon as it went up, I was like, oh my God, he's going to catch it. And that was good coverage, man. Neighbors.
It was.
The guy I don't know if you saw it, Boy Green. The guy put his hand over Neighbors' eyes on his shield as the ball was like coming into him. And somehow he still saw through the finger slats of the guy and caught that ball. That was a heck of a catch. That's why you have receivers like that on your team.
25 seconds left was on the clock when the Giants were kicking off to 25. The Dallas Cowboys. Yep, and then
it's like that Bills Chiefs thing all over.
13 seconds, 13, right?
Even better. But I mean, but the Cowboys didn't have that ball also as far out on the field, as the Chiefs did. So, that was I thought that was highly unlikely that was going to happen, and then it was
64 yards.
All their timeouts so they could stop the clock as soon as they got a completion to so they could throw to all areas of the field, and they did the CD Lamb thing. They were smart, they were smart,
and they didn't have to move very far. Lurch again, they got on that final drive.
These kickers are unbelievable.
Yeah,
you don't even have to get to the other side of midfield for some of these guys, and you have a chance at making a field goal. It's crazy.
Lurch, they moved 21 yards. 21. That was it. And then let's try a 64-yarder with the best kicker in football, Brandon Aubrey, and nailed it. And he became the first kicker in NFL history to kick a field goal with no time remaining in regulation, like he was kicking it with no time left, and in overtime, kicking it with no time left. And if he misses, obviously it would have been a tie. So unbelievable.
What I didn't like, again, just going back to that moment, what I didn't like is the Giants did, and I know everybody does it, but I still hate it. I'll say it about every team that does it. They played that dopey prevent defense.
Mhm.
They were just sagging back. I was like, no, no, no. This is not the time to sag back. I understand the risk reward. You are risking that they could get over the top on you. You could risking that they can get a touchdown and win the game on you. I understand, but don't play not to lose. Play to win. You're on the road. You've just done miraculous things, even with your defense not operating well the entire game. Your quarterback has saved you. Now go out and save him, defense, who's done nothing all game. Send 5 guys on the pass rush. Get the corners up on guys. You know, you want to drop your safeties back a little bit for a little bit of extra protection? Okay, you can do that. You can play it 2 deep. But get the rest of the guys where they would be on any other play in the game where you're expecting the team to pass, okay? And you're trying to stop them from getting a first down because they only needed to get 21 yards, as Boyd Green said. 21 stinking yards is all they needed, and they had all 3 timeouts in 25 seconds. You can do that, especially if the defense just says, I'll give you 10. Okay, I'll take 10, timeout. I'll take 10, timeout. I'll run it up the middle for another 1, timeout. Kick the field goal. And that's exactly what Dallas did. It was not impressive at all. There is nothing impressive about what they did on that final drive to get the game tied and send it to overtime. You just gave it to them on a silver platter. Why do football coaches do this? Why do defensive coordinators do this? Ugh. God.
And despite our slivers, right, Lerch, you have yours this week, right? Oh, Giants could have, should have, would have won against the Cowboys. We have ours last week. Jets could have, should have, would have won against Pittsburgh. Now we're both 0-2 heading into week 3. Awful.
It's not good. It's just not good. And it just that was the discouraging part. You know, man, that is a Russell Wilson performance for the ages gone for naught.
Wasted. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so he'll get literally no credit for it because it's a loss. The chance of Jackson Dart will continue to,
get louder, right?
Din will become louder and louder and louder. This had the potential at least to kind of quiet it down for a week or two, quiet it down a little bit here, which again is what I want. Now, I know it's not what every Giant fan wants, and I know I'm in disagreement with a lot of Giant fans out there. I want this guy in front of an offensive line that can block. Okay. I don't want a Joe Burrow situation. I don't want an Andrew Luck situation, okay? I want my guy to survive the next 10 years. If he's going to be good, I want him to be good for the next 10 years. Because being good for the moment, getting a win or 2 here, okay, doesn't change the future of our organization. I want our organization to have a bright future, and that means preserving this guy's life right now.
Yeah, look at the stats because we've been talking around it the show. So here it is. Russell Wilson was 30 of 41, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, that 1 blemish we talked about, that bad pick, and then sacked 3 times. These are gaudy numbers. You would do anything in your world for your quarterback to have these kind of statistics. Unbelievable. And
to nitpick a little bit on Russell, all right, I'm not going to get, nobody's ever 100% perfect. But there were a couple of plays where you're like, what is he doing? Like, this is where you look at the veteran guy and you say, like, why isn't he being the veteran guy? Like, sometimes he just throws it away. Nothing there, he throws it away. I love that. That's what good veteran players do. And he did that several times in this game. But there was this one, there were 2 crazy plays. One crazy play where he was like twisted up being sacked and the guy had his right hand. So he tossed the ball over to his left hand and tried to throw it past the line of scrimmage and didn't get past the line of scrimmage. 15, that was an intentional grounding. I think they called that, right? And then he had one where he changed his mind. He started to deliver the pass, Boyd Green, and then he saw one of the big guys got their hand up and he knew he was just going to throw it right into his hand. So he tried to stop mid-throw, didn't, turned his hand and threw it backwards. All right. And the ball was live. And thank God Cam Scadaboo was near it. It was trickling towards the sideline. He just managed to sweep it out because it could have been like a pick up and go. It could have been a pick 6 kind of deal, up off the ground. I was like, oh my God. I mean, that was a terrible decision. So he made kind of a couple of squirrely ones for a veteran. That's exactly that's what you expect a silly rookie to do. Like, you're just trying to constantly get the most out of every play.
Home run. Right. Yeah.
So Russell did that a couple of times. But I think that is not Russell Wilson being incompetent. I think that is Russell Wilson realizing, if I don't do something here in these first few weeks, I'm not a quarterback. I'm not a starting quarterback in the NFL anymore. So it's almost like Russell Wilson, the veteran, is having to behave like a crazy rookie because he knows his window is like this right now. He's just right on the edge of just getting, tossed out. They ran Dart out for about 4 or 5 plays during this game, just like randomly. Now they were like, they did a little, RPO on one play, one Dart came in there, and they ran him in there for another play. I was like, what's going on here? What's going on here? At one point, the John Hanson, right? Is it John? Or who's the red zone guy? It's not John.
Scott Hansen.
Scott Hansen. Thank you. I knew it was Scott. I knew it was a different first name. Scott Hansen was like, oh, here we go. The Giants. It looks like they've gone to Jackson Dart. Here, Dart is in the game. The Giants have made their move. And he was in for a play, and I was watching the game live. I was like, no. Calm down, Scott. He's just in there.
Yeah.
They just went in RPO.
Because I see in the stats, he only had one
He's
carry for
playing
negative
great.
3 yards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what I saw on the stats.
Yeah. So like it was, but the whole world is like, oh, here we go, Jackson Dart. I was like, come on, people, calm down. It's like the Giants are going to be forced into this move by the echoes of the mob, just with the pitchforks. And I just hope they're not. I just hope they think about the program. I hope they think about the franchise, okay, over, the now. The immediate, I'm going to lose my job, so I better put Jackson in there. Just please don't do it. Don't do it.
You don't want to hear this, Lerch, but I talked about this with my concerns in the offseason of bringing this regime back, that like Dable is not going to do what's in the best interest of this Giants organization. He's going to do what's in the best interest of saving my keister. Right. Oh, if I show a little Jackson Dart here, even if it's way earlier than I think for his long-term health, then I'm going to do anything. It is self-preservation at its finest. That's the human race. You shove someone else to advance yourself a little bit further, and that's unfortunate because to the point, no matter what happens here, I think it's not good for Jackson Dart because if Brian Dable doesn't stick around, whether he's fired midseason or after the year, Jackson Dart learned a whole offensive system for no reason and now has to learn a brand new offensive system when someone inevitably takes over at some point, which is disappointing.
Right. All right, just I know your time is limited this morning. You've got an appointment, so you only got a couple more minutes. I may hang around for a few minutes after that, but I'm not going to hang around for too much longer. So I just want to whip through the games here. Tell me what's your fancy, things that you saw, things that excited you. All right, so New England ends up beating Miami, a pretty good game for Drake May. Was it back and forth? Miami got back in this game. I thought they might end up covering that spread. I had those numbers on my side. I went the wrong way on that one. Darn it. I like New England in that game, and I switched in our picks. Yeah. Cincinnati did hang on to beat Jacksonville. I mean, boy, Jacksonville looks better, though. I don't know. But then they falter when it matters most. So that was sketchy. Baltimore took care of business against Cleveland. What to report there. Cleveland's as bad as I think.
Although Cleveland probably shouldn't have made those comments, right? We talked about him on the pick show. Grant Delpit saying, no problem taking down Derrick Henry. And by the way, Derrick Henry did not have a good game, so maybe I guess he was right. But then they get absolutely swamped. So, yeah, that was brutal.
Speaking of a rookie playing on a bad team, Cam Ward, he's the number one pick. He's getting rolled out there. They're 0-2 now. Tennessee goes down 33-19 to the Rams. Puka Nacua had a couple of big pops in that game.
Yeah.
Buffalo beats the Jets, as we mentioned. Detroit. Oh, I knew it. I knew they were going to come back and wallop them at home, and they did. 52-21. Heads spinning now in Chicago. I mean, they brought in Ben Johnson. They thought they could change this whole thing. They falter in the second half in that opener, and they just get destroyed in Detroit. Ooh, things getting a little crazy in Chicago. They're dying for a winner there, too. A thought on that one?
Whoops. Yes, I do. Like I said, I totally called it wrong. I thought Ben Johnson kept all these plays in the back of the book for this opportunity, when he gets to go play his old team. Like, hey, baby, here, Detroit. Here's, you don't have me anymore. Because, right, remember, we talk about overreaction, right? Week 1, the Packers run through Detroit. And we're like, oh, boy, maybe Detroit doesn't have it anymore. Detroit bounces back in this very strong and passionate way here. So I was dead wrong on the game. But I would say I imagine Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson are exchanging texts about this, that, hey, man, it's just 2 games here. It didn't go the way that we wanted, but not a career is written based off of 2 games. But, yeah, Detroit, I think we all might have overreacted to their loss to Green Bay, and they're still a really good team.
Boy, Green, I know you're a McCarthy guy. I'll jump all the way down to that game, Minnesota and Atlanta. Ooh, that defense looked good for Atlanta for a change. Where did that come from? Did the Vikings make a mistake at QB? J.J. McCarthy, in all due respect, he's played 8 quarters of football in the NFL, and 7 of them have kind of stunk. He had 1 really good quarter, and that mattered. Got his team a win last week, but I know you're a big McCarthy guy. You said you're on that bandwagon, so chirp away on that one if you want.
Yeah, I did look like an idiot, no question about it, because I said, oh, man, J.J. McCarthy could be my next Patrick Mahomes, like my next guy that I felt really confident about. Now, I'll tell you, I got the pick right, so thank you, Dirty Birds, for that game last night. I appreciate that. I called that one, but no, I'm not worried about J.J. McCarthy. He didn't get any playing time at all last year because of the injury. Now he's here. And let's be honest, Lerch, I don't know if we've really discussed this much, but like Kirk Cousins, where does he go next? Kirk Cousins said if the Falcons would have said, hey, before we sign you, we're going to take a quarterback top 10. He says, I would have said no to Atlanta and stayed in Minnesota. And even if they took a guy, I was still more comfortable in Minnesota with my family. So now we fast forward through all of this. If J.J. McCarthy continues to struggle in a way where the Vikings start having questions about, and he just needs more time, bring Cousins back. He has to waive a no-trade clause for any trade. I don't think he would just go anywhere. Like if the Bengals said, hey, we'll give you a call, and he knows it's temporary because Joe Burrow is obviously getting his job back at some point. I don't know if Kirk Cousins waives his no-trade clause to move his family randomly to Ohio for a couple of months, and then what's his future? But I think in Minnesota, I think that's the lever in the back of the room that the Vikings can pull at any point to bring Captain Kirk Cousins back to save the season, and then JJ can just have more time to recover. So no, I don't think they've made a mistake. You ride this JJ thing out because if he ends up being the guy, we talked about that competitive advantage with quarterback contracts. He's making peanuts, but you always have Kirk Cousins to me as a backdrop because I don't think there's going to be much competition for his services.
Yeah, I got you. All right, look, I know you're on a timeline, so I'll give you final thoughts here for yourself. I'll hang around. I just want to talk about a few of these other games that we've got, obviously, to set things up for the Monday night doubleheader tonight, a 7 and 10 o'clock game. So you're really kind of getting two almost completely separate games. Maybe the back end of game one bleeds a little bit into game two, but if you're a late nighter, you're going to get your fill of football tonight. But how about a final thought on the weekend of football? I know we'll be back together live on Wednesday, so we can break down some of this stuff on Wednesday as well.
And by the way, we'll have that next week as well. The Jets play in that first part of the doubleheader of Monday Night Football next week, so for week 4. So really cool that the NFL is doing this a little bit to try to, again, separate some of these games. I would just say this. First off, everybody like the video, hit subscribe. No matter where you're watching, make sure you go over to @MC Show Digital because we stream live on multiple destinations. That is the number one stop shop so you guys don't miss out on anything Manchild Show related. Again, if you're watching just on the Facebook page or just watching on My Boy Green page, you're going to miss some of the content that's coming up here. Our weekly conversations with Jake Asman talking New York Jets, our Syracuse conversations, and so many more. There's all this stuff that you're missing. There's all kinds of exclusive content on the @MC Show digital channel. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody who has tuned in to all of our coverage. It's been a lot of fun. It's been an exciting new journey for me and Manchild. I'm sure he could talk even a little bit more about it from his perspective. It's been different. It's been unique, and there's all kinds of pros and cons and unique challenges to doing shows from our house. But I will just tell you, it's been a lot of fun, and thank you, everybody, for you sort of welcoming us. You know, we've been around forever doing our show for 25 years, so to be able to do it in this new way in a digital world has been very unique, but I've loved the embrace of the fans. It's been a lot of fun.
All right, bail out. Go do your stuff, Boy Green. We'll see you on Wednesday live. We've got, I'll tease all the interviews we've got this week. We've got some great interviews for all you Syracuse nuts out there. Don Munson's going to join us, the play-by-play voice of Clemson. We have had Don on our show for years. We have a very, very interesting relationship with him, and I could really say it's actually kind of a relationship, which is kind of cool to put it in that context because Don is he's really he's a very personable guy. So Syracuse is headed down to the Lions Den to play at in Clemson. What a great stadium that is! If you want to experience great college stadiums in college football, Clemson would be one that you might want to consider. Not only is it a great weather in South Carolina, but Clemson also, the way the players enter the stadium, they come down through the stadium and they come down to the field, right through the crowd. They come around on a bus and they put the bus on the video screen. It's very, very cool. That's definitely a cool place, and Syracuse will be traveling down there this weekend. Syracuse did manage a win this past weekend, a big one over a little local team, Colgate University, who certainly is not of the same caliber as Syracuse, but Syracuse thumped them pretty good. So it just felt good. Their quarterback, Steve Angeli, played very well for all you Syracuse fans out there. Just going back to the NFL on some things here. All right. So Detroit, I love that. An really emphatic win over Chicago. I thought they would, and they did. They got great performances out of Amon-Ra, great performance out of Jared Goff. If you have him in fantasy, I think he was in PPR leagues, there's over 33 points. So that is fantastic stuff to get out of Detroit. They put up 52 points. You'd expect something crazy there. Jameson Williams, I think he had 18 points or so in our fantasy league. Only had 2 catches, but he had a touchdown and they were 2 long ones. So that's the conundrum that is Jameson Williams. If you have him on your fantasy roster, it's kind of all or nothing with Jameson. And yesterday, perfect example of that with the 2 catches for big yards. The Steelers went down. They did not look great against Seattle. The Steelers back home playing in their own building. They're usually pretty good at Acrisure, formerly Heinz Field. Not so good. Pittsburgh lost that one 31-17. So kudos to Seattle for going, completely across the country and getting a win against the team that normally is pretty formidable and was coming off a poor defensive performance and got another 31 stuck on them. So good for Seattle there. I'm not surprised. It was my pick of the week, and luckily it turned out to be on my side in our Friday picks. But the San Francisco 49ers did take care of business on the road at New Orleans. I just don't think New Orleans is good. Christian McCaffrey had a nice game. The spread of that game was 3. They ended up winning 26-21, so I'm glad my pick of the week held up. That was pretty cool. Carolina and Arizona. Boy, Green had that game in our Friday picks as a lone wolf. He was getting 6.5 points to grab onto Carolina. And he got the cover, 27-22. So Arizona takes care of business, but not very emphatically against the team that does not look like it's going to be very good again this year, and that's the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young did come to life, though, in the second half and looked a lot better. So maybe, they can breathe a little life back into that Carolina thing because it was looking good the back end of last year. Young was playing very, very well, and it just didn't last, just didn't hold up. Indianapolis, Indiana Jones is what we're now calling him. Daniel Jones, gotta love it. Led his team to victory. That thing ended crazily with a penalty and then a re-kick, and then the kick goes through. It was a pretty long kick. So kudos for Indianapolis. They pull one out at home against Denver. So that was a sweet victory for me because I had the Colts in that game. Philadelphia took care of business against Kansas City in Kansas City. Aren't we all kind of a little bit? Isn't there at least? I have nothing against the Chiefs, but I think sometimes when teams are on top for a long time, when they're perennial, like I want to see them fall. I don't know. I'm probably a rooter of underdogs, but I just want to see a team fall sometimes. And right now, that team is Kansas City for me. I just want to see him fall. Andy Reid's had a great run. Patrick Mahomes is an amazing quarterback, still is. Travis Kelce is definitely on the other side of this thing, and it's the bloom is starting to fade a little bit for Travis Kelce. Not surprising considering his age. He's had an amazing career, but it's just the pieces are not there for the Chiefs this year. And so were they competitive against the defending world champions? Yes, they were competitive. But 0-2 start for the Chiefs, that hasn't happened in ages. I forget. I saw the stat this morning, in many, many years. Let's just put it that way. So that was a nice win for Philadelphia to go on the road and beat Kansas City, who now is behind the 8 ball starting at 0-2. Minnesota, we mentioned that game. The Atlanta Falcons, boy, you'd like to think that it was all about Bijan and the offense. And Bijan had a pretty good game. By the way, it's Bijan now, not Bijan. He himself has cleared it up, said he wants to be called Bijan. So we can go back to Bijan Robinson, which I'm much more comfortable with. But Bijan had a nice game, but it was the Atlanta defense that started in this game and really, really held Minnesota and J.J. McCarthy, made McCarthy look like a rookie time and time again. So that was a good defensive performance. And let's not forget, that game was on the road for Atlanta. So Atlanta, got one there. They stole one there, dare I say, on the road against Minnesota. They were 3.5-point underdogs, and I just kicked myself in the head because I had them circled on my sheet, crossed them out, and switched over to Minnesota after hearing some of the other folks kind of talk about the game. I was like, oh, maybe I should take Minnesota. And I did one of those last-second switches, and I lament it. And then, like I said, we've got the 2 games tonight, Houston and the L.A. Chargers. The Texans are at home against Tampa Bay. That should be a very competitive game. That's the 7 o'clock game tonight. And the L.A. Chargers are on the road against the team that surprised a lot of people last week by getting a win, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders. And Matt Lombardo is actually lone wolf on that game, meaning he's the only one that picked the Raiders to cover. They're getting 3.5 points at home. So we'll see how that game plays out. We had 3 lone wolves in our picks. That's when only one person out of like the 7 or 8 that make picks get on a game. Boy, Green hit on Carolina. They covered the spread. Matt Lombardo had Kansas City minus plus 1.5, did not cover. They lost by 3. So a loser there. And the other lone wolf game, again, is that game tonight. Vegas against the Chargers. Matt Lombardo is the only one on that one. So Matt trying to at least get 1-1 on his lone wolf picks for the week, for the weekend. But nice doubleheader tonight. That should be a lot of fun. Let me just take a quick look here in the comments, see if there's something I want to pop up before I get out of here today. Jamie mentioned that Vikings mistake thing. Here's a little thing from Badshaw about the Jets. Are the Jets preparing, or he got something on his phone saying the Jets are preparing Tyrod Taylor? Well, of course. I mean, if Fields has a concussion, they have to get the backup ready. So Tyrod Taylor, here we go. Put on your cape, man. See what you can do as a Jet. Let's see what else we got here. Phil commenting on the David Tyree photo. That Tyree photo would look great on my wall. We're only, by the way, Phil, as of a couple of minutes ago, I just took a peek on my phone while Paul was still on the feed with us, 17 subscribers away from getting to 300. And that Tyree thing goes out the door. By the way, and I'll probably announce it maybe before we give that away or coming up probably later this week, but I was out talking to some of our sponsors this week, and one of our sponsors, you've seen them on our commercials, is Play It Again Sports. They if you don't know Play It Again, they're our franchise. They're in a lot of cities, so some of you might be familiar with Play It Again. But I was down meeting with Play It Again Sports, their owner here locally in Central New York and Syracuse, and he gave me something that we're going to give away, and it's very valuable. I was like, wow, okay, thanks. So we're going to have another really cool prize, another cool giveaway, I should say, to follow up the David Tyree giveaway that hopefully within a week or so here, we're going to be giving away that Tyree thing as we surpass 300 subscribers and try and blow our way past that and get to some bigger numbers as we literally build our community. I mean, we've been on with you guys roughly about 10 weeks, not even 10 complete weeks yet. So to be in this position and for so many of you to be out there liking us and subscribing to us, as Paul said before he left, just kudos to you, man. Thanks for just being a part of our family, showing up on the days that you can show up. When you can't, everything's on demand on our YouTube channel. That's why I say that's the place to subscribe, at MC Show Digital on YouTube, because our whole archive is there. Everything that we put out, every video that we put out, long form and short form, all of our live shows are archived on the YouTube channel. And one of the things they do pop up on social because I push them out to Twitter, Facebook, and our other social media outlets. And certainly you can like and follow in those places too. But the reason I really like YouTube as kind of a command center, is I might call it, a central command kind of thing, is that everything is archived there. One of the things that go out there regularly too are we put together what they call in the YouTube world shorts. I know a lot of you know what shorts are. They might be called reels in other places, and they have some other names. But they're just, little, 30 to up to maybe 90-second videos where what I try to do every week is I work with some folks and I'll do a lot of the work myself too, and Paul, pulling kind of the best moments from some of our interviews and then putting them into little short snippets, these shorts. And so we've put out a ton of shorts, and we're going to probably increase that number in the upcoming weeks as I've now kind of put together kind of a small staff of people that'll be helping us put together shorts each and every week. So if you don't have time sometimes to listen to the whole 15, 20, 25-minute interview that we do with somebody, you can pick up on some of our shorts. We'll do Giants, Bills, and Jets every week. I'm trying to put out fantasy football shorts on the weekend. We interview Joe Bartle, as you know, on Friday morning, but I try to break that out into some shorts, shortly after we finish that interview with Joe, so that, if he said some cool things about maybe waiver wire pickups or players in start-sit situations that might come up in more than one instance, maybe those guys are on your team, you can get Joe's advice. I think he gives really good advice in the fantasy world as well. So just really, really, good content going out each and every week. Let me just tease this week. So Don Munson, as we mentioned, will go inside enemy territory for Syracuse as we do every week. So for all of you Central New York Syracuse nuts, Don's always a great interview, and we'll talk all things Clemson with him. So we're expecting him later in the week. Ed Valentine is back this week. Jake Asman should be back with us again this week. Anthony Prohaska is locked in. We always talk to him on Thursdays. So we have all of that stuff coming for you. Jets, Giants, Bills. We're live again with Joe Bartle this Friday. Paul will likely be solo on the Bartle interview this week unless I can somehow get in on the road. I'm actually going to be traveling on Friday morning, not arriving in my destination probably till afternoon on Friday. So I'm getting a little R&R, a little bit of time away over this weekend, trying to squeeze in one more of these nice summer weekends before it all goes and turns to fall weather. So I'll be out of the mix a little bit on Friday, at least for the Bartle interview. I definitely am going to get over to the road, find a place to get in on the NFL picks, because I want to be part of that. So So I'll be probably doing that, remotely on Friday. So I'll make sure that I get in on that. But everything else we should have in the hopper before then. So just, looking forward to all that. Bud Poliquin too. Bud Poliquin will be, we do our Bud interview tomorrow in the morning and then drop it shortly thereafter. So Bud Poliquin is a definite for tomorrow. That's already all set up and we'll be ready to go with Bud. All right, so that's really kind of our week. Again, want to thank the folks at Bayberry Automotive for sponsoring this broadcast. Want to thank all of you for hopping in and joining me and being part of this whole thing. And we'll be back again live on Wednesday, normal time, 11 o'clock. And we'll have plenty of really, really cool content coming your way this week. Oh, yeah, one other specialty item. Let me mention this before I go. So a couple of weeks ago, I think we mentioned this a little bit on the airwaves, Paul and I, but probably not at length. Paul played football, believe it or not. You look at that little squirt and you say, how the heck could he have been a football player? But Paul loved high school football, and he played at a high school here in central New York called Oswego High School. It's north of Syracuse, almost an hour north of us. So we interviewed the Oswego High School football coach a few weeks ago, a few months ago, actually, on our radio show. We were still doing radio. And as it turns out, the reason we set up that interview is because the guy who has now been instilled or has been given the job of head coach at Oswego High School was a teammate of Paul's when Paul played high school football. So this goes back, a decade or so. And he was a very, very nice guy. His name is Chris Pike. And so Chris, after the interview, we had such a good time doing the interview with him. He came into our radio studio to do the interview. So he did it in person. And we were chatting after the show because it was towards the back end of the show. And he said, listen, if you ever want to come out to practice or anything, want to do some videos, you guys are going to be moving over to YouTube, I'll give you full access to my team. So we decided a few weeks later to take him up on that. And I said, let's go out there and do kind of our own version of Hard Knocks. And so we're calling it Bucks Knocks because they are the Oswego Buccaneers, all right, just like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're calling it Bucks Knocks. And we literally, in the course of this week and moving forward, probably for the next couple of weeks, we'll be dropping mostly in the form of shorts. There are some long-form interviews. Actually, be dropping our long-form interview of the head coach. We did like a 15-minute interview with him. We talked to his offensive coordinator as well, so there's a long-form interview there. And then there's going to be kind of shorts that'll be combinations of sound bites and things that we did with the players, interviews with the players, combined with the video that we shot at training camp the day that we were there. We had 3 photographers, including myself and Paul there, taking in as much, capturing as much video as we can so that we could use it to make these videos more visually interesting. So if you're interested in high school football, just want to know a little bit more about Paul's alma mater and what they're up to this year and what that whole thing's about. I know there'll be people in Oswego and the parents and some of the kids that are on that team that'll be watching this series, but it will be in our regular YouTube channel. It will drop into our regular shorts. So if you're wondering what it is, it's called Bucks Knocks. It's our version of Hard Knocks. And we're dropping, I just completed our first 4, I'll call them episodes, are complete, and we're going to be dropping them within the next day or 2. So if you start seeing those popping up in our feed, you'll know exactly what they are. And if it's something you want to take a look at them. If not, you can just move on and grab something else. So anyway, thanks to everybody for being here today. It's been a pleasure, and we will be back again on Wednesday with our regular live show at 11. Lots of content dropping between now and then. So everybody have a great day. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Be good.